We can start now.
Okay.
All right, I'm here with Ffion Davies. Thank you for coming on Jits and Giggles podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so if you don't know Ffion and you live under a rock, I wrote down because I knew I'd forget. So she's 2 times world IBJJF champ in gi, 4 times no gi world champ, and then recently ADCC world champion, right? And then besides that, you've won recently your Polaris match and your subversion, which was in Australia.
It was, yes.
Yes. And then your Mo Black, recently you went against her in France, right?
Yes.
So in France?
Yeah.
Yeah.
ADCC.
Wait, I did want to ask you about the subversion. So you did a shoey.
I did.
Can you explain what that is?
It's when you put alcohol in a dirty shoe and then you drink from it.
Beautiful. So how did that come about?
It was basically Adele was there and she won her match too, and she said let's do one. And I was like, oh yeah, I was talking about I wanted to try.
Right. Whose shoe?
I don't know.
Oh,
she was a really sweet girl. What was her name? I don't remember her name.
Oh, so
but she was lovely, and she offered both her shoes to me and Adele,
So
and then
nice.
Ash also did it as well.
Was it good?
It wasn't as bad. Like I there was a taste.
Okay. I feel like
It was-
alcohol kills things, so
Yeah.
We'll
There was
just-
definitely I think she had really clean shoes. They were quite new.
okay, that's
so-
good. Wasn't some nasty old
No,
shoe.
it was fine.
Thank
I'm
God
fine.
for that. And then before we move on, I did want to ask about Mo Black because this is my personal question. I was curious because you're a good wrestler. Was there a reason? You are. Well, I mean, comparatively, you're very good. Was there a reason you decided to pull guard with Mo? Is it because you know she's a very good wrestler?
No, I actually planned to wrestle.
Uh-huh.
And you know when you just go in and you just bail.
You're like, never
No,
mind.
to be honest, I felt like the rounds were really short. They were 3-minute rounds.
Yeah.
They might have been. No, they were 3-minute rounds. It was 5 3-minute rounds.
Yeah.
And it was in the cage. So the cage kind of limits the wrestling as well because you end up
Yeah.
like pushing them against the cage and then it slows everything right down.
Yeah.
And then when I was trying to wrestle with her, I felt like she was waiting for me to throw the arm over because she kept her elbows very tight and
Right.
she wasn't shooting or anything. So I felt like it was a little bit cagey. So I was like, I'm probably better off pulling guard here
Gotcha.
and working from there, which I'm glad to be comfortable playing guard now. a bit
Right.
more.
So it wasn't a plan, like you said. It was kind of
No.
like in the moment. You
It was funny
switched
because
it up.
I said to my corner, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to try and wrestle, feel it out. And I just sat down and he was like,
He's like, that's not what we discussed.
you're a liar. Why would you do that?
I was curious because I assumed you were going to wrestle with her, but
Yeah.
that makes sense. Sometimes you get in there and you're like, absolutely not.
I wanted to test it, but I guess like I'm also very impatient. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to get something going.
Right,
So-
right. You don't want to wait around. So just like backing up a little bit, because I don't actually know how you got your start. I heard you actually next door talking to the girls before this, but how did you even get into jiu-jitsu? How did it all come about?
So I did judo when I was a kid from like 7 or 8 years old. And I kind of did that for a few years, competed a lot, trained a lot as well, trained for like the Welsh national team and stuff like that.
Oh.
Not difficult. There's only 10 people in Wales, so they were like, please join. Like anyone could have gotten in really off the street. But yeah, like, so I did that for a while. I enjoyed it. I think I just liked being an athlete.
Yeah.
I liked training. I liked fighting people,
Yeah.
whatever the way. But because I originally wanted to do boxing, because
Okay.
I love Rocky, the Rocky films.
Oh, well, you're very close.
But they say, oh my
Right,
God,
you're
yeah.
right next to Philly.
Run the steps. We're gonna run the steps. And pretty much, I went to the boxing gym with my mother, and they were like, "Oh no, we don't take girls."
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
Lame.
okay, so please. Yeah, so then I ended up doing judo instead because my brother started, and then I just sort of got on the mat
Right.
and just started doing it, and they were like, well, I guess she wants to do it.
Yeah.
And then like years later, I quit judo for like a variety of reasons. I was a teenager. I
Yeah.
was 15 years old. I think
Yeah.
it's
Other things
not
to do.
uncommon for teenage girls to be like, yeah, this isn't
Right.
cool
Right.
amongst the boys, which
Makes
is
sense.
unfortunate. They ruin everything, don't they? But then, yeah, basically, I wanted to get back into sport later. Like I'd gained a bit of weight when I quit judo because I went from training every night, competing every weekend, to having all this free time.
Right. Right.
And I inhaled all the food, and I had all the like I'd travel to judo like sometimes 2 hours, train for 2 hours, and then drive home 2 hours. So like that's the entire evening taken up. Could barely get any food in, really.
Right.
Like didn't think about my diet before that, and then when I'd quit, my appetite was still up here from all the training, but I was doing zero activity. So I wanted to exercise again, but not go back to judo when I was older. And I didn't find going to the gym very fun. I
Right.
thought it was boring. I just did a bit of weights, and I was like, it's hard to like get motivated, and I
Yeah.
dropped a little bit of weight, and then I saw Ronda Rousey. I think it's like the
Oh,
most.
okay.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's like the cosmic event of all girls in this
Right.
sport.
It's true.
Ronda Rousey goes into the UFC or makes a division in the UFC. She's from a judo background, although obviously much high level, like actually good at it. And I was like, MMA looks so cool.
Yeah.
I want to fight in a cage.
Oh.
And that's a really long-winded way of saying, like, I got into MMA, and then they were like, you have to train jiu-jitsu, and I was like, jiu-jitsu is kind of weird, like, why are they on the ground?
Yeah.
Get up, pussy. I was literally like, loser, get up. And then I had to do it, and then I was like, oh wait, this is the best thing ever.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were originally going to do MMA, or you
Yes,
did do MMA.
I did do MMA.
And
I
then-
am 4-0.
And oh, so you had some fights too.
I
like,
did,
oh,
yeah.
that's awesome.
They were like two drunk people in a cage. Like, you could have gotten us off the street and it would have looked about the same.
So then at some point you decided just to transition to jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, it was kind of, originally the plan was I moved to a new city.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't like much MMA gyms up there.
Right.
And so I was kind of like, I'll focus on jiu-jitsu for now.
Right.
And like build up my level, because I didn't have good striking,
Right.
good jiu-jitsu, or good anything. So I was like, I don't have skill.
Right.
So I will, get better at jiu-jitsu and compete there a while, because I was really enjoying it. And I'd be in like a Muay Thai class, and just, it was fun. But
Yeah.
I wanted to go and do more jiu-jitsu, because I was so addicted to it as well.
Right.
Like, I really got the bug, and I was like, I just
Yeah.
want to do this and learn. And I feel like I'm wasting my time doing this. And so I was like, okay, I want to focus just on jiu-jitsu for a while.
Right.
And then I never went back. I was like,
Okay.
actually, why would I want to be punched? Actually,
Wow.
that's shit.
So then,
offense.
when did you come from Wales? How did you end up in New York, basically?
Yes.
Like-
Okay, this gets confusing.
Okay.
Because
ready.
I'll say, oh, I lived in Ireland, and then people think I'm Irish.
Okay.
I also have a very slight twang.
Yeah, I hear it a little bit.
Because I can't help, I'll just adopt people's accents. Like, I'll talk to an Australian for like 5 minutes.
Now you're Australian.
And so I'm like, no. and they're just like, what are you
You're
doing?
like, what happened?
Are you doing it back at me? And I'm like, I'm not mocking.
Right. You're like,
It's an affliction, and it's really embarrassing. But yeah, I moved to Ireland from Wales.
Okay.
Actually, I was. I don't see. This is where I just start saying things and shit. But I was fleeing and not fleeing, like not for criminal, nothing criminal. Just like an insistent ex-boyfriend. So I was like, well, the jiu-jitsu was good.
okay.
Like, it was an affiliate. The main affiliate of the gym I was under was there,
Mhm.
and it was great training, and I won brown belt worlds,
Oh,
and
nice.
I was like, oh my god, maybe I can do this. Maybe
Right.
this is something. And like, I was kind of like, well, I'm training in this gym, and it's not the best environment for me,
Yeah.
and maybe I could go to Ireland for a while. And I've won
Right.
money at Will Pro, and I got silver at Will Pro and had some money. And I
Right.
think it was like $5,000, which is
Right.
huge.
But you were
Like,
young. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, this is amazing. I'm
Yeah.
rich.
Yeah,
I was
literally.
like, I'm balling. And then I was just like, went and stayed with a friend in Dublin until I don't know, the money ran out, and then I said that's what forced me into seminars. And then I spent like 5 years in Dublin. I think it was like 4 or 5 years, and then it was after COVID. It was like the year after following COVID. I was basically just like, I need to just go and do all the things that I really want to do.
Yeah.
And I kind of, when I moved to Ireland, it was meant to be temporary. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go and travel or go to somewhere in the US and
Right.
like really pursue jiu-jitsu. And then I didn't travel at all. I just
Right.
kind of, stayed in my comfortable bubble, and I
Yeah.
loved it. But then after COVID, I was like, I need to go and just do all the things and
Right.
just do the things I'm scared to do. And one of those things was New York, living in New York.
Oh, wow.
My thing was like, I want to live in New York for a year, like Carrie Bradshaw.
Oh, that's cool.
But without all the sex.
so then you were like, I've always wanted to go to New York. So did you just like reach out to like gyms in the area, such as Essential, and just kind of worked out?
No, nothing
Not
is
at all.
organized as that. No, literally, I went to Pan Am's, competed, and then just flew into New York and went around the gyms like a little gym
Wow.
slut, and then not like that. Not like that. Regret. Just went around.
Yeah, and
like a
figured it
little-
out.
Yeah, and then I went up to JT's a few times, and I was like, oh, this is really good. And
Wow.
people talk to me here. And
That's
they're
a
also
start.
nice.
Geez, so you like it kind of sounds like you just fell into jujitsu. Like it wasn't like originally your dream. You just kind of went from MMA to doing jujitsu, and then you're like, wow, I'm really good at this, and then the rest is kind of history.
I think it just like it was the first thing that I did that like I always did judo from when I was young, but and, like I did really enjoy it and loved it, but it kind of I'm so sorry I can hear Taylor Swift and it's like taking me into. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I know. I was wondering where the music's
hearing
coming
it
from.
in my head.
I
I was like,
on a Sunday, wow.
oh, I was like, heck yeah. Sorry.
She's like,
takes me away.
she's like, you guys did all this for me?
Oh, is my mic sliding away? It's flaccid.
It's flaccid again. Poor thing.
Come on.
Poor thing. We hate when that happens.
Wake up.
Start petting it.
What was I waffling about? We like it when you pet.
You're like, you were just saying that JT's gym spoke to you.
Truly did.
That's all it took. She's like, perfect, I'm in.
Yeah, he was just like.
And then you just kind of landed there, and then
Yeah.
it's all been up from there. You mentioned about training through COVID. So were gyms open? Like, how did you train through COVID?
Oh, I didn't.
Okay, bad question. Anyway.
No, it was like basically Ireland had a really strict restrictions.
That's what I thought, yeah.
But I lived opposite the gym with my coach. Like I was his roomie at the time, and so my ex-boyfriend also lived very nearby, and one of the other coaches at the gym. So we were kind of like we could go in like a pod.
Nice.
And that's how we kind of did like pods. So it was like the same 4 people together.
That's good though.
Together. It got depressing because my pod was they were fantastic trading, but I was the nail all the time. I was like, I'd really like to win.
Like once in a while.
Like
please.
even just like sweep someone, and like they'd let me do stuff, and I was like,
It's so
like a
crazy
baby.
imagining that now, because now you're like just so dominant. It's like
no, they'd support you.
it's crazy. Did it ever make you think, with everything going on with COVID, did it make you like consider like an alternative career, just knowing that a lot of the athletes were struggling?
It was not so much like that I wanted to do, well, I had to. I didn't want to consider another career, but it was sort of like at one point they were saying we may never shake hands again, and I was like, well, how are we going to do a triangle? I mean, that seems very close contact.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was basically just like, so, you know, for want of a better word, depressed, not to be dramatic, but I think everyone had like situational depression at that time. A bit hard not to when you're like, you know, deprived of human contact, and you've got a bit too much time to think, and there's a new Taylor Swift album that's really depressing but very good, and then you're just like really just like ruminating. But yeah, I was kind of like, I have to go to university. Like I dropped out of school very young, like 16, or 16, 17, and I don't have any education higher than 16, so I have no qualifications. I kind of like, when I left school, it was to do judo and be an athlete and go to the Olympics kind of thing. And then when I found out that wasn't really what I wanted to do and it wasn't making me happy, I was like, well, I'll go back to college at some point. I'll go find out what I want to do. And for a while I was like, I'll just work in a bar until I figure it out. And then obviously I found jiu-jitsu, but then during COVID it was like, this is why they say have a backup plan. Everyone was like, you need a backup plan, and I was like, I'll figure it out. I can just work as a waitress. It's fine. Like,
so you kind of were just like, I'm all in at this point.
Yes, mine's so flaccid. They always are. Sorry.
Is it okay?
Yeah, no, sorry. It's sad. It's my accent.
You mentioned Ronda Rousey, but do you have like a jiu-jitsu specific like inspiration or somebody that you really look up to?
Oh yeah, like, but well, topical, because today is the day of the World Championships, and Louisa Montero just won.
I have heard you.
And I was like, no, because she's. Oh my god, why am I?
I'm just gonna tell you, everybody's cried on my podcast, so I don't know if it's me, but everybody cries, so it's okay.
You got like glittery eyes. They make me want to cry.
It makes everybody want to cry. I think because people aren't used to like talking about people they care about openly.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't even know Louisa very well. I don't know her at all. We fought twice.
But you obviously really respect her.
Oh my god, like she's like I think what made it for me, like I always, you know, there's lots of superstars in this sport, and like that I look up to a lot. But for me, it was like an act of kindness. I fought her in the absolute when it was my first year, and she like, I didn't do anything. I just went into Louisa Montero, and then I was just in a triangle, and I was like, oh, this is great. But also, you know, you're just like, I'm not surprised I'm here. I mean, it's fine. And she sent me a message afterwards. Doesn't know me, doesn't need to do that at all. And she was just like, you know, I believe that you're the future. You and, like, you know, she named a couple girls coming through. Just sent me like a really kind message that she did not need to send. I didn't expect it at all. I was like, I love you. I loved you anyway, because I always used to watch her guard passing. Because she came from a Brotherhood gym in Brazil, obviously, and like they had such good passing there. And her fiance or husband also loved watching his passing. And so obviously for like just the jiu-jitsu reasons, thought she was so great. And then that's where the love began. That's so nice. And then I've fought her since, and she's just always been really kind. And now she's won another world title. Doesn't need to do it, right? Just has. And it's just so nice to see her. I want to be like her when I grow up.
That's awesome. So you mentioned about competing against her a few times. Do you get nervous when you compete?
Oh God, yeah. I feel like when people say don't get nervous, I'm like, maybe they don't care, or maybe they really have reached a point where they.
I always wonder, like, how do you just not get nervous? But even because I think a lot of people, you know, you don't look at yourself that way, but I think a lot of people look at you and it's like, you just look very confident when you come out. But it's true, like, it's true. Like, if you don't know
hear my inner dialogue, they'd be like, oh.
I was watching Polaris and I was like trying to like look at not just you but pretty much they lined everybody up, remember? It was like very awkward.
Look at each other.
It was very weird. And I was like, I wonder who's nervous, but everybody looks super like even keel, confident. I was wondering like, but in your head you're actually a little bit nervous.
Well, yeah, it's weird. It's like I'm very used to the thing is now I have finally sort of broken through a little bit the I don't know what I'm trying to say. Broken feeling of sorts.
Okay.
I do feel like I've reached a really good point, like in the last year, where I obviously still get nervous, but I feel like I'm oh God, touch wood.
Here. I think this is wood.
Oh, there we go. Knock on wood. But I do feel like I've gotten to a point where I really have a handle on the nerves, where they're there, but I can sort of manage them a lot better than I used to. And not get overwhelmed by it. Good. And it's just kind of like, I think a lot of people will say like, oh, push it out of your head. Right. And I used to try and do that, but the sort of denial around it kind of made it worse. Yeah. For me, the best thing was like, I can't remember where I read it, but it was to like, when the emotions like hit you, even if like, you're just training on a random Tuesday and you're in camp or you're preparing for something, and then you just get that wave of nervousness, is like, people will like, push it out your head, which I understand. Yeah. And maybe that works for some people, but for me it was like, no, sit in the feeling, let it like kind of wash over you, and feel it so that you get comfortable with it. And so on the day, the wave of nervousness that you can't keep at bay because you're actually there comes into you, and you're like, no, I felt this before. Like it's like practicing it, and then like letting it happen, accepting it, and being like, okay, well now that's not useful for me right now. It's not useful for me to think about the result because I can't control the result. Right. I can control my actions. And it's kind of like part of the thing of my droopy mic. Mine's on I
think it's because yours on an up angle and mine's on a down. So weird.
Yeah. I have that effect.
Anyway.
Yeah. So fucking Taylor Swift party and says, I'm like, guys,
maybe they know she's here and they're like,
I was like, I gotta go. Sorry.
I don't even remember what we were saying. Oh, the nerves.
No, the nerves.
You feel the nerves. You let it wash over you, and you sit in it.
Yeah.
The feelings. And that's you heard it here first. That's how you get rid of your nerves. But that makes sense, because I will say, when I compete at grappling industries, I will be like driving like a week before and randomly like just be like thinking in my head of what could happen, and I literally, my heart starts beating. Like it's kind of crazy, right? Like it's like I'm nowhere even near competing, and I try to push it out of my head. But I think it's a good point that like if you deflect it or like you push it out of your head too much, then on game day, I feel like then it's going to be more shocking to you. So
yeah, I do think like, so for example, if you're in training, it's like maybe this is not the best time to sit in that.
Yeah.
It can really derail your training, and you need to practice sort of clearing your mind when you're in
Yes.
training or just focusing on the task at hand. But like say like if you are in your car on the drive home, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is the time, it's appropriate to
Walk
like
through it, yeah.
let it, you know. And sometimes I'll be like in the venue and it's like I feel so much emotion. I can't really like pinpoint what it is.
Yeah.
Not it's not so much like the fear or the nervousness. Sometimes it's just overwhelm of like keeping myself in a calm state
Right.
when like I want to freak out, but I'm like not necessarily feeling like I'm scared,
Yeah.
but I'm just feeling emotions that it makes me like teary or like feel like I'm
Yeah.
gonna cry, but it's not like a negative thing. It's really weird. I just
No,
feel
I
like
get that.
I'm gonna, and that's why when the match ends, win or lose, like I cry.
Yeah.
Like I cry happiness. I cry not so much because I'm like, oh no, I lost and I'm having a tantrum. I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh god, it's over.
Right.
And like now the emotions coming out. And
Yeah.
like the dam's open now.
Yeah.
And,
I know you've mentioned before that you're like an emotional person, but
Good god, yeah.
I think a lot of people get emotional. I mean, it's kind of hard not to. You have all this like pent up nerves and pent up energy and like so much expectations, especially at someone at your level. Like there's a lot sometimes riding on these matches, these competitions. So
Yeah.
kind of makes sense that when it's over, it's just like a release,
Yeah.
you know?
It's nice.
All right, moving on to like a very, no big deal conversation. So CJI. So first question is, I personally want to know, like, how did that conversation come about? Like, did you get a phone call from Craig? Like, how did it, like, was he FaceTiming you? Like, what happened?
Oh yeah, we face him all the time.
You're like, who is this?
No. I slid into his DMs
Okay.
and was just like, I want to
You're
join.
like, hello.
Because no, I was like, oh, I want to hop in this. Like,
Right.
I was like, are you gonna make a women's? I was just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna do a women's division or
Right.
like a little super fight.
Right.
For me.
Yeah.
And then he was kind of like, oh wait, yeah, women do exist. And
Love that
like,
for him.
wait a minute. Yeah, so I think like maybe slowly. The thing is, I'd love for there to be a division. That's what I wanted.
Right.
However, the issue is like I'm trying to like I was kind of trying to get some sponsors together, try and do like
Yeah.
a women's division, have a prize. But now because ADCC has, it has like the absolute with the prize, and now they've upped the women's pay, which was kind of like the point, point
Yes.
of. Not the whole point, because obviously I have selfish reasons, of course,
Of
for also
course.
doing it as well. But I was kind of like, this whole tournament is going to put pressure on ADCC
Yes.
to up the athlete pay. And
Mhm.
now they have upped the athlete pay of the women's. They've matched it to the
Yes.
men's, which is fantastic. So it was kind of like, well, if I now do a competitive division versus it, it's kind of not taking away, but it doesn't. I don't know if it makes as much sense now.
I understand that.
I mean, like I'd still love to do that, but it's getting closer and closer to the date. It puts a lot of people in difficult positions.
Right.
And it's not a million. It wouldn't be. I wouldn't be able to get a fucking million. I wish I had some rich friends. Taylor Swift, if you'd like to be my friend and give me money, that'd be great.
But you were saying about, now they're matching the women's division in ADCC. So
Yeah.
it's like, which real quick, what did you think about Mo kind of saying recently, like, oh, all you had to do was ask? Do you know what I'm talking about? And
My eyes twitching.
like, I thought that was interesting. Like, he's like his, if anybody didn't see it, Mo basically got on and was like, who Mo like runs ADCC, was basically like, oh, women want equal pay, like no problem. Why didn't you just say so?
He's like, that's nothing to me. I was like, that's 2 months of my that's like 3 months rent.
Right.
I can't do math. Is it
Probably.
4? Yeah.
Yeah.
For a room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great. Kind of insulting.
Right.
But I was like, oh, it's easy for me. That's nothing to me. I was like,
Right, because they should have matched to begin with. Because I mean, me and Yar, we've been talking this morning about it, like kind of walking through it, and I'm like, I do understand that it always comes down to like selling tickets, but at the end of the day, like if you have divisions, like how do you pinpoint who's coming for who? Like everybody should just be paid similarly, right?
Yes. I mean, if it's the grappling Olympics, well, and the grappling Olympics, right? The Olympics pays equal pay to
Right.
men and women. And so, yeah. I'm happy because it got the desired result. So
Yes.
the praise up. That's fantastic.
It all worked out.
But I don't think we should be like, oh wow, thank you.
Right, like thank you for
Lord
doing
and
what
Savior.
should have just been done in the first place, basically.
That's like the bare minimum.
I agree, yeah.
And it's like, because a lot of the guys are like, 10K is just not enough. And I was like, you're getting 10K? What? And like, I think, you know, the fact that it was, you know, publicized.
Yes.
Like I was, you know, transparent about it being what it was. And I think a lot of people didn't realize that.
I didn't even realize that. I thought it was 10K for everybody. Literally didn't
Maybe
know.
it was. It's just me.
She's like, what the heck?
This will go a long way in Wales.
And it was half, right? And it was half, right? Like you got 5K.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even like, not that it would be okay if it was like 7 to 10, but it was literally half, which is just like,
it was fine.
Totally insulting.
I got more for I was really confused because like I got more for Gi Worlds, but everyone's like hating on Gi Worlds, and I was like, I got more for them.
Right.
Because they paid by athletes in division, which is not what they do. Because ADCC, they decided that like, you know, it's 8 women in each division, which they decide. Like they can fill up the spots of 16, but they choose not to.
Right.
And then you get gaslit, and they're like, "There's just not enough women." And I'm like, "Well, I'm looking around, and there's plenty of women."
Right. If you really
I can
want
get
'em.
you a list. Like I can get you the invite list if you ask, or like, you know, if you think you are wondering what weight division to add, you could ask some women.
Right.
Instead of just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Where the choice to just.
Absolutely. That's frustrating. So now for the super fight, because Craig Jones is obviously doing $1 million per division. Is he doing the same for super fight? Are you going to get $1 million if you win?
No, we have to underpay women. No, I'm under no pretenses that I should be getting $1 million or anything like that.
Right.
I'm getting some that I'm happy with, but
not $1 million.
No, I'm happy with some. And for me, my goal is to open a gym and save for a gym, and that's what I want to work towards. And also, the ticket sales go towards charity, and he's given me a number. I don't think I can share it yet because it's not like 100%. You know, you have to see until after the event, but that's going to donate to charity of choice. So I'm happy. That's like what I'm really happy about, and like that's pretty cool too. And it's nice doing. Like, I feel like it works out. It's working out well for like everyone, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. I think like ADCC, if they've sold all their tickets. Yeah. Maybe it's not doing so well for them. Actually.
It's obviously more than $5,000 you were getting at ADCC.
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, I know. So I'm happy, and it's not obviously there's not just, you know, winning the title is important to me. ADCC title is really important to me, and I value it a lot. But it was like I can make more in a super fight than I can to win the tournament. Right. Or I can make more doing seminars than I can to win this tournament. It's not making sense. Yeah, and like for me, it's like if this has some sort of it's not about eradicating ADCC at all. It's about putting a big organization under pressure to change and to adapt and to increase athlete pay. Yep. And I think this is what that's going to do. I don't think they're trying to eradicate ADCC at all. And it's already had part of that desired result. So if we can also, you know, raise, I guess the guys want it to be higher too. Like they should just accept it.
Yeah,
we should switch the men's to 5K.
Oh, then all of a sudden
10K.
Can you imagine? They would rally.
My God, they would rally.
Oh my God. But yeah, like I get what you're saying. Like the goal is not to get rid of ADCC. It's just you're putting a little pressure. You're lighting a little fire under their ass to say like, hey, like at the end of the day, like pay us what we deserve.
And the thing is, like, there are people like, it's, you know, I'm not being like, oh, everyone should, you know, bail on ADCC. But there are people who are in positions where doing that can be a big help. So if they choose to, I mean, like, it's not like a bad idea, is that you get 10K to show and then you can potentially win $1 million. Absolutely. So it's like, it's not a bad deal, but it's like that could have such an effect on the sport. And it's like for the women's division, it's like they kind of get the roughest end of everything because there's not an alternative on CJI.
Yeah.
What is it? CGI? Is it GJI? Not CGI.
Yeah, CJI. Yep,
his name's Craig.
You're right. Craig. Yep.
Was it Craig?
I had to think about it a lot. I'm like, what's his name again?
Was it Craig?
CJI. Yep.
Craig.
Craig. Are you worried at all about the repercussions? Like, do you? Like, yeah, I'm gonna just leave that open.
This is gonna be played at my funeral. Do you worry about the repercussions? No. Should I? No, I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, there's certain, like, I've heard certain things that I don't know if they're true or not about the potential repercussions on my end. And it's kind of like, I'm at peace with that because I really miss the gi anyway. Yeah. I'll just hop back in. Like, I was watching Gi Worlds and I was like, I want to do a gi season next year.
Yeah.
Fuck open it.
So you're not that worried about it, basically.
For
the most part.
I don't want to have beef with anyone.
Of course.
But particularly. See, I'm filtering myself because normally I wouldn't there, but I stopped. But I don't want to have beef with anyone, and but I've already had a few indirect. How do I explain?
You've had some beef in the past.
I've had some beef that I didn't know I was part of it. And I was like, oh, and they're like, she's asking for equal pay, and I was like, I was not asking for equal pay, although that would be nice.
Oh, don't worry.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're friends. So now at least it's like a gang of friends.
Yes. A gaggle.
A gaggle of
Gaggle of geese.
A gaggle of geese. And I can just hide behind Craig if they
he'll protect you. I got you.
Block it.
Yeah, like
I don't
literally.
protect, just stand in front of me.
So if next year ADCC asks for you to come back, like what would you need?
They're not going to ask me to come back.
Okay, hypothetically, if you
What
would you go back if they offered you, like,
if they pay more, sure.
if they were to match whatever Craig's paying you, basically?
Yeah, like if they pay more, like if this has the desired result and they pay more, sure. It's not an option though. Like they said, they're going to make the rule in ADCC is that if you're a previous champion, you don't need to do trials again. You just get invited back.
Of course. Yeah.
No, I'd have to do trials.
Oh.
But I'm also very petty in that I would do trials and then go back to ADCC. If I had to do trials, I'm more likely to do ADCC because I would pettily do the trials to enter the tournament just to be annoying.
Right, because that's the only way.
Well, I won trials, I have to be here.
Yeah, you're like, you can't say no to me now.
The referees just start like,
they're like, what's she doing here? I thought you were going to say you were going to do trials and win everything and then decline their invite. I'd be like,
oh no, that'd be a slay.
Right? You're like, yeah, no thank you. I'm actually good. This was just for fun. Would you have said no to Craig if ADCC matched the pay on the spot?
It wasn't really like that. It wasn't like there was no
negotiation.
There was no negotiating, and I think there was a few other things that sort of added to it that made everyone a little bit displeased with how things were. There's also this thing of like when the organizer is so prominent, you can see where the biases lies, and it can rub people the wrong way. I think that's maybe part of it as well. But yeah, it was like, I don't know, it's like obviously I do care about the money, like hence the point of the tournament. But I thought it was really, I just thought it was quite cool. It was during, like, Craig makes a lot of jokes, but it was actually, there was good intentions behind it, and I was like, actually, he does have good. I don't mean like that, but during so yeah, I think it's gonna have a good result. I hope.
Yeah,
and for both. Hopefully, in the future, maybe there will be events that won't be on at the same time, and then it will.
Right, and then you could.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so, Tom DeBlas.
Oh God. What did he say?
No. I think you already saw. I think you.
Wait, you might be revealing something.
No. I think you already know this because I listened to your YouTube channel. But when Tom DeBlas mentioned like $1 million's not really that much. Like, you can make that doing instructionals. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that? Because you're somebody that does plenty of seminars, instructionals. So why not just do that?
Why not? If you're poor, just buy a house. Loser.
Duh.
Yeah, well, I'm not a millionaire. Fair play, Tom DeBlas. Like, what a thing to achieve. But
Yo.
Gonna get shot. Can't say that in a country.
You're gonna be invited to his front yard for a duel. He's gonna fly you out.
The lion versus the.
Oh dead. I'm just kidding. I don't. Please don't cover me.
How likely is it to listen?
Anyway, so to sum that up.
No, but like no, in general, in all series, it's fair play. Like that he's able to do so well.
Right. If you can
And,
generate
like,
the cash.
Yeah, that's really good, and like he's marketed himself really well.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm just like thinking of the lion quotes. Like guys love lion quote. Like be like the leader of the wolf pack. No, because I did a poll on my Instagram before of like the 4 most common male jiu-jitsu guy tattoos, and wolf, lion, tiger, and gorilla, because of Conor McGregor. And the winner was wolf. Do you have one? Oh,
good
you
job.
should.
Yeah, it's never too late.
There's probably a female equivalent. I think it's a snake. I have a snake. So that's just made me think of that. I'm sorry, but no, but like he's obviously marked himself well. He's done it.
Yeah.
And there's lots of guys in the sport who've done the same, marked themselves really well, and they're good on social media. But like if you're coming from Brazil and your English isn't, it's not your first language, and then you're trying to sell instructionals, it's a lot more difficult of a path. And also some people are just unfortunate that they just don't, if Flow isn't filming at the right time and they miss a really big moment of theirs, and it's not like publicized or just doesn't hit the algorithm right. You know what I mean? It's like that.
Yeah, you're screwed.
And you don't get the same coverage, and it just has like a, like the guys who get a lot of coverage kind of consistently get it, which is like what they deserve, of course. But sometimes you just kind of miss some people who are fantastic athletes, but they just don't get the same hype for whatever reason.
Right.
So it's kind of like, it's quite insulting to be like.
Yeah, and some people are good athletes, great athletes, but aren't great at talking to the public. Like not everybody wants to coach or is good at it.
No.
Like some people are just really good at being an athlete.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, just do it, and you're like,
just do it.
You're a
Just
freak
stand
athlete.
up.
Yeah, just get up. And I'm like,
all right, we can leave Tom DeBlas alone now.
I'm sorry, I did not mean it the way it came out.
No, I just thought his quote was funny about that. Who's your dream super fight?
Tom DeBlas.
Yo.
Well, if he's got $1 million, put up the money. Let's go.
Yo, I would watch that in a heartbeat. Tell Craig. Forget him and Gabby. Ffion and Tom
I just
DeBlas.
revealed my super fight opponent.
Oh my god, I'll cut that out.
Who else? Mo just. No, please, no. Actually, I really don't. What was the question? Like dream super fight?
My stomach hurts. Just imagining Tom or Mo walking out with her would be so funny. Like, can you ask them just to do it for fun? Like,
No,
can
I
you just
think
like
they'd be
announce it as a
into
joke?
it. Yeah, no,
I
I
think it would be
funny.
hilarious.
That could be a way of like making up.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the olive
Fight.
branch.
We gotta fight it out.
Yeah, like email Mo and be like, listen, I have a truce.
Truce. Let's
Just come out on stage
let's
the
wrestle.
day. Yeah, just wrestle.
wrestle.
The question was your dream super fight. Is Tom DeBlas your final answer?
No, it has to be like Mackenzie did, because like it's topical with ADCC, and
Yeah.
everyone wants to fight her, and I'm like, I'll put my hat in the ring.
Yeah.
In the ring.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Put my hat somewhere.
Okay, so it's Tom DeBlas
Give
or
her my hat.
Mackenzie, give or take.
Yeah, either will do.
Yeah,
Either
toss
will
up. IBJJF or ADCC. So like if this mess didn't happen, as far as like rule set and competing, like was one more enjoyable for you?
I do think that ADCC rule set suits my style
Yeah.
more, but I just love competing in the gi.
Yeah.
Me no gi, IBJJF no, like ADCC for sure.
Yeah.
And I do think like the ADCC rule set really like favors my style.
Yeah.
But I think maybe it's because it's World's Day, and I'm like, my heart breaks a little bit. Not really, because it's the right choice for me at the time.
Right.
But yeah, like I feel like, although I'm talking about the rules, and there was some like controversial things with the rules happening, I was like, what? How is that a rule? I didn't know that was a rule. But yeah, so it's kind of like, I think it's more set in stone in the
Yeah.
IBJJF, where you're a bit more assured of what the rules are.
Right.
Whereas sometimes with ADCC, I think there was just a bit more like,
Gray areas.
yeah, a bit more grey.
Yeah.
I don't know the rules of either fully.
Everybody, honestly, that's
No.
like everybody keeps saying that. A lot of
Yeah,
people are
yeah.
saying that they aren't ever really sure until they do something wrong and then they figure
Yeah,
it out.
like,
They're like,
"Ah."
oh, okay.
There's like the ADCC rules meeting, and I'm always like laughing. I'm like, whoa, everyone is asking what the rules are, and I feel so much better. There was like a group chat for the ADCC athletes, and like it was the best thing. I've never felt so intelligent in my life. I was like, whoa.
You're like, I'm not
I
that
get
bad.
dropped out of school at 16, and people were like, so Mo would, or like, yeah, it was Mo. I'm like, okay, we're meeting in the reception
Yeah.
to get the bus to go to the,
Yeah.
someone next, literally underneath. Where are we meeting?
You're like, oh my god.
And then you'd be like going to the reception, and you would just see like a random male athlete. Always a male athlete. No offense. No offense. I'm creating balance. So you'd see them just wandering like,
Right.
where do I go? And I'd be like, come with me. And you would corral them like sheep. And you'd be like, come on, it's okay. Let me take you to the bus. And yeah. So, no offense to them. But like,
No offense.
no offense.
It's not your fault. You're like, sheep. It's fine. No problem. Fion's here
Not
for you.
all men.
Just the sheep ones. It's fine.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Just most.
No problem. JT Torres and training at Essential. So you mentioned a little bit earlier, like you tried a few different gyms. Are they kidding? Why is it so damn loud?
What are they doing?
What do you think that is? Can you hear that in the headphones?
We're starting to be able to when they just cranked that.
Can we go ask them, you think?
yard.
Who is it? Like what?
What is it though?
Like-
Is it a dance thing?
Yeah, there's another
They're literally listening to us. Yeah, they're like,
Stop
"What?"
now.
They put on Joe Rogan like, fuck you, fuck you.
I should
Can we
post
spread
it.
a rumor,
Say my
please?
Superfight opponents.
Please, please. Do you know how many people? First of all, people are gonna believe it because of Craig and Gabby. They're gonna be like, maybe they're actually doing it, which would be so funny. Anyway, back to JT Torres. So, you had tried a few different gyms. You landed at Essential. So, like, can you tell us a little bit about like what it's like training there and like why you chose Essential?
He asked. And so no, joking. All you have to do is ask.
There you go.
I'm easy.
Yeah. We're getting a lot of good quotes.
Out of context could be terrible. How did I end up Essential? Oh, basically, yeah. So I was going around a few of the gyms in New York and in the city, and JT's was like out. It's up in Westchester, so it's like a kind of like 40 minutes out of the city on the train.
Yeah.
In case you were wondering,
Yeah,
I went
thank
into loads of detail of that. And I was going around a few gyms, and I mean, you're not short of good
Yeah.
gyms in New York. But then I went up there. I kind of just, it's JT Torres. I'm gonna go train with JT Torres.
Yeah.
So I went up there and I did the competition class. Was traumatized. I was like, oh my god. Someone like standing rear naked choked me off the ground. I was like, oh. Nick Newell. It was Nick Newell. with one arm lifted me, and I was like, oh. And he was like, equality. Literally.
And you're like, this is
He's
fun.
like,
I
I
think I'll
will
sign
treat
up.
you the same. And I was like, I like it. No.
So you signed on the spot.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
cool,
you're like,
put-
I'm here.
put me
This is
in.
home.
Everyone was really nice aside from
Yeah.
the standing really good show. But they were very friendly, and then like,
Nice.
but also training hard. And also that was where I felt like I got permission to, like, and not that I wouldn't train hard before, not train properly, but like, you know, I had a few experiences where like people were like, oh, you go too hard, and I was like, but I'm trying to train for a tournament, and I don't mean, like, you know, it wouldn't be like it'd be in a
Yeah.
competition class
Of
setting.
course.
And then I was like, oh, maybe I am this like psycho person who's like, Shireen, I don't know, going too rough or something. And then like I saw JT rolling with people, and I was like, oh, it's okay.
You're like, it's fine. Actually.
And I'd be like rolling with someone, he's like, Ffion, submit them. And I was like,
So you're like, perfect.
it's like,
So
this is competition class. And I was like, okay.
you're like, I'm in the right spot.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is, yeah.
Well, I know how you feel because when me and Yara went up there to train with you guys, I wanted to cry, but it was
No!
fun. It was fun though.
In a good way.
It was fine. I couldn't breathe for 3 days straight, but don't worry about it. This episode is brought to you by People Doing Martial Arts. People Doing Martial Arts provides photography and apparel for People Doing Martial Arts. Visit at People Doing Martial Arts on Instagram for more information. All right, we're going to play a little game.
Oh.
I need you to trust the process here.
Okay.
All right, so first let me back up. So you're a Taylor Swift fan?
Yes.
I saw you went to her concert in Paris.
Oh, I've been to 4.
4.
I got 2 more.
Expensive, damn. Good for you. Were they fun?
That's where the seminar money goes.
Right? Seriously.
So
Well,
my million goes from all my instructionals.
in honor of you, we're going to play a game called
Okay.
Who Said This? Taylor Swift or Gordon Ryan? Yep. Sure are. Trust the process.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, these are going to be hard too, so
I
get
wonder-
ready. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this, but I'm going to try. All right. Who said this? Taylor Swift or Gordon Ryan?
I'm so sorry. This is so funny.
They'll tell you I'm insane, but I got a blank space, baby, and I'll write your name.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I could imagine that as like an Instagram post from the latter, but I recognize the song. It's Blank Space, Taylor Swift.
Mhm. Very good, very good. All right, you're 1 for 1 next. Who said this? Taylor Swift or Gordon Ryan? And I promise that you'll never find another like me.
Taylor Swift.
That is correct. 2 for 2. All right, who said this? Taylor Swift or Gordon Ryan? I'm not chasing records. I'm chasing legacy.
Gordon Ryan.
Correct. I thought the records might throw you off.
I want the kind of like records.
Mm-hmm. Okay, who said this? Taylor Swift or Gordon Ryan? There are no shortcuts to success, only hard work and dedication.
Oh, that could be either, really,
Mm.
because it's not a song lyric.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with Gordon Ryan.
Correct. Good
Okay.
job so far.
Yeah.
Who said this? Taylor Swift or Gordon Ryan? I think fearless is having fears but jumping anyway.
Taylor Swift.
Correct. Ooh, you knew that one.
That
Okay.
was quick.
Who said this? Taylor Swift or Gordon Ryan? Confidence comes from preparation and hard work.
Gordon Ryan, probably.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're almost done. Who said this? Taylor Swift or Gordon Ryan? I might be in the wrong job if I can't deal with scrutiny.
Taylor Swift, because I don't think Gordon Ryan knows scrutiny.
Yeah.
Another
you're,
word.
You're right. You're right. All right. This one's going to stop
I'm
you.
gonna get shot.
It's going to be all right.
I deserve it. It's
All right.
okay.
It'll probably be both of us. All right. Who said this? Taylor Swift or Gordon Ryan? Okay, hold on. It's tricky. Just give me a second. It's just a really hard one. Okay. Who said this? Taylor Swift or Gordon Ryan? The best women currently and in the past aren't as physical and aren't as technical as men. You can cry all you want, but that statement's a fact.
You know, it does sound like something I think Taylor Swift might say, but I'm gonna have to go with Gordon Ryan.
Oh my God, you're so good at this. All right, last one. Who said this? Taylor Swift or Gordon Ryan? If you're not being paid a lot as a woman to compete, it's not because you're a woman. It's because nobody cares about you.
So die, basically, isn't it?
You might want to think harder on this one. I don't want you to make a mistake. You're 6 for 6 here. So
Gordon Ryan.
you're right. Thank you for playing. Who said that? Taylor Swift or Gordon Ryan?
You should ask other guests who don't know Taylor Swift.
Right? And just keep changing it out with like.
Yeah.
So while we're on the subject, this worked out. Wasn't planned at all. Let's talk about the Gordon Ryan post
Oh, we were talking about Taylor Swift.
very, very briefly.
Oh god.
I won't get too into the details, but I just wanted to give you the platform or the moment to kind of explain yourself because I knew what you meant by your post. So if anybody, I can read, yes. So if anybody doesn't know, Ffion basically posted something. I'm going to paraphrase, but you, in my opinion, were basically saying a lot of women will do a lot for free, or a lot of people ask them to do things for free, and they'll kind of say, oh, like support women by doing like a free seminar. And you were trying to say, in my opinion, don't be that way. Like, ask for money because you deserve the money. In no way did it seem like you were comparing genders. It sounded like you were just saying, don't be afraid to ask for what you deserve. Is that?
I think that's literally what I said. Yeah, like
Look at me go, man.
Yeah, so I didn't think it was difficult to. It was also from 6 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
but That was a deep scroll. Fair enough.
I've been holding on to it. It's fine.
But oh no, I meant on his part.
Oh, I was like, I've been holding on to it for a while.
But no, like just I don't believe in equality. No, I do believe. But I do think that pay should be proportional in combat sports and in you know, when we're fighting on shows and things like this, like or like if you're doing seminars, it needs to be proportional to the numbers you bring in to some extent.
Right.
But there shouldn't be free work. Like if someone is traveling hours, paying for their own travel or paying for their own hotel and then teaching a seminar for free or very little money, and they're being severely underpaid. Yeah. You know, considering in comparison to their male counterparts, there's something wrong there. And like I've definitely been gaslit a lot where people are like, oh yeah, like women just don't draw the numbers in. But then I was talking to some friends who run a show and like that's not true. Right. Like that isn't true because they see the metrics. But and I also think that a lot of people can get away with just paying less for the women because we're more likely to be just, oh my god, you're giving me something. Right. So it's not by no means trying to say that I think I should get equal pay to someone who brings in, you know, regardless of gender, someone who brings in far more viewership than me. Right. But there have been many cases where I have more titles and I have a higher following. Yeah. So, and I still get paid significantly less, sometimes half. Right. Which makes no sense. Right. And it's like, what that if you're telling me it's like proportional to my views or whatever, it's like, okay, well, pop on Instagram. I've got more following than them as well. I don't really do it in a thing way, but like. Right. But. So it's kind of frustrating because it's like, well, show me the metrics. Right. And show me the number.
And he was kind of saying, like, from what I remember of his post, he was kind of putting words in your mouth and saying, you know, why would we pay a woman more if the counterpart they're comparing themselves to is putting more asses in more seats? But you never really said anything about comparing. You were just saying don't do things for free just because you're a woman.
Just don't do just don't do free shit because it screws over the people coming behind you. It's nothing to do. This applies to men too, but I'm speaking to women because I am woman. I am
Figure
woman.
that.
Who would have thought? And that's like.
That's what you can relate to.
Yeah. So it's like that's the perspective I have. I can't speak really to male athletes because I'm not sure of their experience. I'm sure it's different. Maybe it's similar. I know lots of male athletes who get underpaid for their seminars too. They just don't realize how much they can charge, and so people are like, "Hey, why not? Like, if you're going to give me a low number, I'm happy." During this, they're just sort of taking it at face value. So I don't think it's just a female issue. I think it's, but I think I then it gets taken, then it gets twisted, and then the people who don't read it, so they just sort of, they see the caption, whoever posts it, whoever it is,
hypothetically,
and then hypothetically, and then it gets skewed, and it's not what I was saying. Although I do believe in like for tournaments there should be equal pay. Right. Because to not is to discriminate. Exactly. People don't like it when you switch it from sexism to discrimination, but that's what it is. Right. And it's kind of, it's so weird how comfortable we are with it. It's interesting.
Yeah, I was saying earlier when I was talking about this, if anything, if you want to say the person should be paid more by how many people they're bringing in, like then do like ticket sales, right? Like that's like the perfect way to do it, right? Because then
give
it's
me
like
a link.
Right.
Let's do it.
Right.
Give me a link, give me tickets, and we'll do that.
But it's really hard to say, okay, we're going to have 20 athletes, half are women, half are men, and the women are going to get paid less because we just feel more people are showing up for men. It's like, well, how do you even determine that, really?
You just decide. And then I'm there and I'm like, this is why I love seminars, because I'll teach a seminar and I get a direct reflection of those who like to watch me or like to support me when they come. And I'm like, well, how does it work out that everyone's trying to tell me that I don't draw numbers, I don't do this, but then people they're coming to the seminar, so and I'm seeing it and I'm like, well, this is the only way that I can sort of
gauge.
I can actually gauge what's the truth or not. And I'm like, no, and the guys come and they like and like if we tell men almost like, oh, don't cut, but like they want to support, really. They're like, I know, I watch you. Like it's like a loud minority of incels who you see on the internet, and you're like, is this what men are like? And then you talk to men in real life, and you're like, no, the
Right,
majority
it's not
are
all
actually
of them, to be clear, right?
no. Like, and then you
Yeah.
talk to real people in real life, and they're like, no, I don't think that way at all. I just want to learn jiu-jitsu, and I don't really care like
Who it
what's between
is.
your legs.
Yeah.
Do you mean? Like, it's none of my business. It's
Yeah.
like, cool. Like, show me some cool moves and fight me.
Right.
But then you just get the incels are so loud, and
Yeah.
they just
And like not
crawl
to
out. If I even say, can I get paid? No, bitch.
shut the fuck up.
Die.
And not to like dwell on it too much, but I'm just curious, like, why do you think that even came about? Like, did you have a friendship with Gordon? Like, why do you think he even picked
Oh,
what
okay.
you said
So
apart?
what it started with, I don't agree with his political views.
Okay.
At all.
Uh-huh.
But and I, when I was like, oh my god, there was one when he took a picture of a homeless person. I was like, fuck you, man, like that.
Yeah.
So gross. But like whatever. I've got lots of different political views to a lot of people, and I'm
Right.
just like, if I see you, I'm like, what's up?
Yeah.
That's kind of it. Like everyone has different opinions on things. That's not the whole. But then he like made a post or like something. It was like when he was saying like men shouldn't talk about their feelings, and I made a story of like being like, my parents work in mental health. My brother works in mental health.
Yeah.
They've had struggles with depression, things like that, and then just saying like men shouldn't open up and talk when like the
Yeah.
suicide rates are so high for men, and like I just made like a
I
story
remember
post
that,
like
yeah.
I was like, yeah, you can talk up, and like people want you to basically just like don't kill yourself, guys.
Right.
And he was like, no, you shouldn't. No,
Yeah.
and
But-
then I guess someone, I think I sort of went, like despite what like certain high level male athletes may say, and it was very obviously about him, and I should have known not to take a shot there because he holds a grudge, and so do I. So that I respect it. But then someone, I guess, must have maybe sent him a screenshot, and then that's when it began.
Yeah.
And then if I lose, he posts it. If I
Damn, all
Just-
because you said men should care about their mental.
But it's kind of a compliment because anyone he's had beef with, I really admire. Like Lachlan Giles hated him for some reason, and I was like, I really like Lachlan. This is like cool, dream.
Yeah.
And it actually had a positive effect. I actually got more followers when he posted,
Oh, nice.
and
So it all worked
yeah.
out.
I mean, I got a few people call me like. There was a few people who quite aggressively didn't like me.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, I do like inspire a lot of hatred from a certain type of man, I think. And I guess it's like his audience.
Right.
Good
That makes
God.
sense.
Yeah, no, I really rubbed them the wrong way.
Yeah.
I kind of get it.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, I
That's a
didn't-
shame. And I feel like, that's kind of a dangerous thing for anybody to say, like that men should like not worry about their mental health, right? Especially when you have a large platform. Like,
yeah.
I think it's important.
I think they should talk about their mental
Yeah.
health because you shouldn't kill yourself.
Yeah.
That's really flippant. I don't mean it like that, but like,
No, but it's true. And I feel like somebody like you who has a big platform, I can see why when you have parents in the similar field and a brother that you kind of felt like you wanted to say something.
yeah, because it's just absurd, and especially when I've had so many male friends who've struggled so much. And you
Yeah.
see their struggle and how it's sort of really hindered their life because they couldn't talk about certain things and they
Yeah.
suffered alone, suffered in silence, you might say.
Right.
And I just don't think that is the way forward at all. And I think
Right.
it's that's why I really value my female friendships, and I'm really grateful for it that I can talk
Right.
through things with my friends, and then seeing that in like like ex-partners or like male friends of mine who they don't know where to turn because they're
Right.
not comfortable doing so, and
Yeah,
it's
sad.
then to have someone so prominent and so like well decorated, and he is as much as I not his buddy he's a fantastic athlete.
Absolutely,
and it's like
yeah.
with a lot of
Yeah,
influencer
It's
so
true, though.
it's a little it just rubbed me the wrong way and
Yeah.
kind of angered me a bit, and then
Yeah.
that's where it kind of started. But yeah, and then he gets very hyper focused on certain things, maybe
Right.
a bit, and then
Right.
yeah, but like I think
Yeah, it sounds like it wasn't so much about him. It was just like somebody who has a big following said something, and like
yeah
could have been, honestly, it could have been anybody. It would have
yeah
still been.
it's okay.
great.
The thing is, I have an issue with like not saying how I feel or what I think. I find it really difficult. I really should. I need something. I'm trying, as I've just said so much shit in this podcast. But like I don't know. I can't help it. It's like, sometimes I'm like, shut the fuck up. But I just can't. I can't not, and
Right.
it's led me to this now.
Well, maybe
Here we are.
maybe you guys can make up. Maybe that could be your super. Can you
Will I get the
imagine?
money from it?
Yeah.
No, I'll sacrifice myself.
Sacrifice yourself for a couple mil, you know?
I get my. It's gonna tap me quick.
Yeah, 2 mil. Just tap.
Get the referee close.
F it. You know what I mean? Ugh, all right, sorry. Hopefully it wasn't too painful. We'll move on to something that's less upsetting too. Actually, I want to talk about Gabriel.
Oh yeah.
How did you guys start dating? Did you meet in jiu-jitsu? What?
Sorry.
Oh no. I'm scared.
No, whenever I do Q&A, people are like, how did you meet? Oh my god, I can tell this story. He's gonna hate it.
Tell me.
Oh, we met because okay, so this is how we met. I was at Pan Am's and he was at Pan Am's, and I was recently single at Pan Am's.
Nice.
Nothing happened.
Okay.
But no, he was cornering a friend of mine, and I was also cornering her, and I was like, oh, we're cornering the same person, and I was like, and he went, and I was like, cool. Didn't think anything of it. Then ADCC was rolling around same year. And I was like, oh, Gabrielle Souza's coming to do the camp with us. And I was like, oh, fuck. Because my friend Sam was there at the gym, and he was also doing ADCC at 66, same as Gabrielle. And I was like, oh, no. This loser. Not really. But I was like, oh, cool. Like, it's fine. Like, I'm sure they don't care. Like, and they just, like, kind of, they were, like, really friendly and stuff with each other, but they kind of, like, you know, trained in little different groups.
Yeah.
And I was like, Team Sam. And I'd sometimes roll with Gabrielle, and then he would just like be way too nice and not really. He'd just be like afraid to touch me in case I would break. And then he was like there for the camp, and like it's just like always hanging out in group settings. Yeah. And then he came back for Gi World's camp as well. And then he thought I had a boyfriend. One of the guys in the gym, he thought we were dating, and then he found out we weren't, and then he went, your gi matches your eyes. Oh. And I was wearing a blue gi, and I went, oh, he wants me.
That's all it took.
I was like, green light.
Yeah. And the rest is history.
Yeah, and then I was like, I'm gonna.
That's awesome.
Pursue you.
Oh. And he has a big match coming up with Mikey, right? Are you excited about that? Have you guys ever trained with Mikey before? Or?
No. I haven't. I don't think he has either. They fought. It was a few years ago, and he beat Mikey. He passed his guard a few times, and he submitted him. And like he hadn't been training no-gi very long at all at that time. He was like a gi guy, and he kind of got put in the tournament last minute, and then had this like amazing win. So they're doing it again, which is really exciting. And it's just great because like Gabrielle's so much better now as well than he was then, and obviously Mikey's gonna have improved too. Yeah. But I'm just excited for him to do it on like one. Yeah. Get a bonus.
A little call it out
bonus now. Maybe. That'd be nice. Take me on a date with that bonus.
That's awesome though. How long have you guys been dating?
Almost a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's newer than I thought. I don't know why I thought it was longer than that. That's awesome. I'm happy for you guys.
Thank you.
How are you so strong? Can you tell us? Nice. I've actually never rolled with you, but I've heard word on the street is you're extremely strong for your stature. Why do you lift? What do you do?
Do you even lift, bro?
Lift?
No, I do lift a bit, but I'm not very consistent. I don't think that's what it is. I'm actually gone like in terms of lifting weights. I'm definitely weaker now from starting jiu-jitsu. It's probably that I'm so tired all the time. Yeah. But judo people are strong and crazy. Yeah. And that's
just like growing up kind of.
It's basically you think like 7 years old. Yeah. Lift that person and move their whole body onto the ground. Yeah. Like throw them, not like just like nudge them over.
Oh, I'm familiar.
Like pick, lift. From our earlier video. Yeah. Like lift them up, dump them on the floor. Right. Kind of thing. Right. And yeah, so you're lifting a human, right? Putting them on the ground. It's lifting stronger. Weight while the weight fights you back. Right. So I think doing that from like 7 until 15, or like I went back to it as well, but it lays such a groundwork, and I think it's more like grappling strength. Like if you put me in the weights room, I'm not that strong, or like I'm strong, but I'm not like, oh wow, she should be a powerlifter kind of strong. It's not like anything like that. So yeah, I think it was just that, and I like to think it's like, you know, knowing how to apply pressure, but
Yeah, that too.
It's
Cool. So you're not like consistently lifting right now either.
I should be. I find it so tiring
Yeah.
to do. With the amount of travel I do as well, that's the issue. Is like my back. I've got such bad back pain that to get out of plane seat and then go do weights, even though it does help, it's just like I'm always kind of a little bit fried,
Yeah.
and so it makes that a little bit difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Speaking of that, longevity, like, have you ever had any like super bad injuries, or do you have any advice for being able to do jiu-jitsu for a lifetime without constantly being injured?
I mean, I'm only 29. I'm already a little bit crusty. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be the best person to give that advice. But I do think that, as my mother is now training jiu-jitsu and she's 60 years old.
Awesome. Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah, that's awesome.
She's training.
That's so
Sometimes
cool.
she trains twice a day.
That's very cool.
She's crazy. Like,
And it's recent, right?
yeah, she
Yeah.
started only like 3 months ago.
That's so cool.
So she's into it.
That's
And
awesome.
but I think like adjusting your style.
Yeah.
Like there's certain things I don't do anymore, or I stray away from because of my back. Anything too inversion heavy, or
Yeah.
like not allowing myself to be stacked, like collapsing my guard if I'm
Right.
getting stacked. Just things that you have to sort of bail out of.
Yeah.
And then like adjusting my style so it's not like, I don't know, it can give you good sort of, you can sort of compare it, I guess, to if someone's like a smaller woman in the room, I guess they have to keep their frames at such an
Yeah.
arm's length to prevent injury, I guess. Or maybe have a really close game as well.
Yeah.
Maybe it's kind of similar to that. Like when the athleticism, it can make your technique better. It can be I feel like your technique will be great as like an athletic blue belt jumps around on you. But it does force you to use proper technique, which can be a benefit. It's annoying, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that makes sense. And I mean, you are only 29, but do you ever think about the future? Like, are you just going to do this as long as you can? Like, are you like, I'm just going to do it till I can't anymore?
Competitively, I'm already thinking about
You're like, after CJI, it's done.
I would love a few gi runs, just because I love competing in the gi
Yeah.
just for my own personal enjoyment. But yeah, like I want a gym and stuff like that. That's like my bigger goals.
Yeah.
My biggest goal has always been to have, not always, but like, when I realized it was possible, was to have a gym and have like a women's program and have have a great time.
Right.
And just have a successful gym in Wales and build jiu-jitsu in Wales as well. Help build.
So you want to go, you do want to eventually get back home.
Yeah, I'm going to be going back home after guess not. After ADCC, CJI weekend, kind of go traveling.
Yeah.
And head home.
You're going to be staying there permanently after CJI? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm going to turn that back into my base, go back to the UK, and then do some traveling and stuff.
Nice.
Enjoy it, and enjoy that like 6-month period of no competitions for a while until
That's cool.
I sort of decide what's the next steps. Is it another gi run? Am I getting asked to do shows?
Yeah.
Am I banned?
Depending,
you never know.
How long have you been living in New York now?
2 years.
Yeah, that's a long time
Yeah.
to be away from home. Is Gabrielle going to come back with you, you
I'm
think?
dragging him around.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
Good.
his visa expired.
You're like, we got to get out of here. That's
You
awesome,
gotta leave
though.
too. So I'm like, oh no, it was me.
Yeah,
I
that's
ruined
awesome,
his
though.
visa. I reported him. You must deport
Plot
him.
twist.
And I was like, I got a British visa you can have.
You're like dangling
You
it.
have to
You're
come
like,
with
come
me.
on. Do you think you would go back to Brazil with him just to visit or something?
Oh, to visit. I did. I went to Brazil for Christmas.
Oh, that's right. I think I did.
No one spoke English
Yeah.
of his family.
Yeah.
They were very nice, but we smiled at each other a lot. It was
Oh, that's
actually
so sweet.
it was actually great because they could not like me.
Right. You
Because
couldn't
you
say
don't know
anything
what I'm saying.
wrong. Yeah.
Like,
You
what
just have
is she
to look
saying?
nice.
She just
You're like, they're like, wow, she's so happy.
and like, now fala desculpa. And it's like,
They're like, we like her.
she's nice.
What's something your closer friends and family know about you that your fans or like the general public wouldn't expect? It's very open-ended. It could be a personality thing, it could be a hobby, it could be anything.
I don't know, Gabby. Anything you want to reveal?
Yeah, really living with her. A klutz.
Oh yeah.
Actually, yeah, we wouldn't expect that because you're so
know.
athletic.
Oh, anything that's not jiu-jitsu of no athleticism.
Really?
I'm so clumsy, but also Gabrielle is
funny.
really clumsy. And he's like way more, like my jiu-jitsu is not as athletic as his. His is very like,
Right.
he's like doing backflips and cartwheels and shit
Whoa.
like that. I'm like, whoa, yeah. I'm like, you couldn't do it like without a person there somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, you couldn't. It's weird. And then he like bumps into things, spills it. I'm just like deflecting, but I'm the same. But
Just
when
anyway, Gabrielle's a mess.
I literally like spilled my tea and then he like threw food on himself and we were like, oh my god.
That is something I would definitely not expect.
Save my base for the mats.
What about knee cuts? Just to jump into that real quick.
Yeah.
So somebody, we won't put you on the spot so we don't get too much hate here, but
Oh god.
no, I'm just kidding. I'm just gonna put it out there and say it. So the whole Jasmine Rocha thing, it's been forever now. It's no big deal, but that was interesting, right? Like sometimes the most quote unquote basic skill set gets the job done, right? Was that a plan? Like, were you planning to go in and do that because of the comment, or it just totally was coincidental?
I really just like knee cuts.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
But then I was kind of like, part of me was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do a knee cut on purpose to show my diversity. And then
Right.
anytime I went for a knee cut, the knee was just like, I need to go. It was like, I'm tired, let me go. And then everyone would go, woo! And I was like, all right, I gotta do it now. Jane, I gotta like this, hype me up.
Right.
And so like I was like, I really gotta do it. It'd be quite cool if it did.
It would.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And
So
then
it
I
wasn't
did,
necessarily
cool.
planned, but you had a moment. And you just kind
I
of.
do
It's
come on.
kinda cool.
She wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
She's like, what's she gonna do? Knee cut me? And I was like,
You're like,
I mean,
actually, yes.
but I just mean like that's pretty much the only guard pass I do. I was like, yeah, fair enough.
If it works, why wouldn't you, right?
You're just stating a fact. You're not insulting me. You're just being truthful.
Yeah.
You're saying that I just knee cut, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if it works, it works, right?
Yeah.
Anything you wanted to share? Anything that I didn't mention that you wanted to touch on?
What controversies can I get into?
Yeah, really.
I'm like forgetting what I said, and I'm like, you're gonna have to. You may need to trim a few things. No, I don't think so. Yeah, just I guess I would like to clarify. There's no like hate towards ADCC or any of those involved.
Right.
I just
It's for the greater good, is what it sounds like.
for the greater good.
The greater good.
And also I will have a bit of money.
Yeah, of course.
It's quite nice.
Definitely.
And so it's not like it's no beef.
Yeah, and just real quick while we're on that, like any advice for I'm going to talk about women because I'm a woman. So as far as like getting the money you deserve, like if you are somebody out there that's struggling with doing that, because like you said, like sometimes you do feel silly about it or you feel gaslit, like what's your advice for them to kind of get what they deserve other than obviously just asking?
Aim high.
Yeah.
Whatever you think, just double it.
Yeah.
And then they can just go, oh, that's a bit much. And you go, oh, maybe we'll do this, meet in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
not the best
What's the worst they could say? No.
And also it's like, I feel like if you set a price and just like weigh it up, it's like, okay, say for example, someone wants to do a seminar and like I'm here in the US, come to Europe. It's like, I have to weigh it up. I'm not going to have the person pay for the flight to Europe because I'll probably do multiple seminars there in that sort of situation. So it's like, okay, think of the flight time to go, the travel. It's a day of travel.
Yes.
All these things, like you're going to be tired. If you've got a tournament coming up, you've got to weigh the pros and cons. And so set the price accordingly so that it doesn't, you don't want to feel resentful of it because it's something that's like, I love teaching seminars. It's so fun. I love meeting people who, I love meeting lots of people. And especially when someone's like, oh my God, I watch your stuff and I like it. And you're like, that is the coolest thing ever.
It is.
Like, that's really cool. And I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
And so if I am going somewhere and I feel like, like I feel like I didn't ask for the right price, and then you're gonna take that energy into a room full of people who it's not their fault at all. It's not the organizer's fault either. It's your fault because you didn't set a price that made you feel valued. So don't undervalue yourself. If someone tries to like be like, you should just charge this instead, that's different. Like that's on them. But if you are already setting yourself the bar low, you're not going to be able to give the right energy in the room. Yeah. So I guess that's whether that's a high price or a low price, whatever it feels comfortable to you is what you should charge, kind of thing. I do think people should sort of discuss it more. Yeah. I get it's more complicated when it comes to shows because sometimes you're actually not allowed to discuss certain things with certain people. But when it comes to seminars, like if someone asks, I'll tell you, like if you're during like so that you can get an idea of like okay, and then also. Like think, okay, what kind of numbers do I pull in terms of like bringing people to the seminar and then like think per head what you think is reasonable, and then you're like, okay, well that kind of adds up to this, so I think that's fair for me to ask for this.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of
Absolutely.
math it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of figure it out as you go along.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, even, I can speak from like the corporate America
Yeah.
version. It's like even getting a job, like it, myself included, when I was starting out, like we're more hesitant as women to ask for more money. We feel awkward, almost like embarrassed. And
Yeah.
whereas men, generally speaking, there's always an outlier, but generally speaking, they are more confident in asking for more, asking for what they believe they're worth, right?
Yeah.
We don't haggle as much. We don't negotiate as much. I think it's getting better because it's becoming more common. But when I started my career, it wasn't common to negotiate as a woman specifically.
Yeah.
So, one more question. What about just becoming, you become so successful in your career. It sounds like you kind of fell into it a little bit. Why do you think you became so successful? Obviously, you have somewhat of a natural talent, but what do you think allowed you to get to the point where you're at? Is it the people that you were training with? Is it the amount of training sessions? Like, what kind of took you to that next professional level?
I think I was very fortunate in the training that I got.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I trained in a really good gym in Dublin for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
I had a good, like, the first gym I went to in Wales was, like, also good, too. Like, it's produced people who've won ADCC trials and gotten there. That is, like, someone from the UK is a huge achievement,
Mm-hmm.
for anyone, but particularly when, it's,
Yeah.
you wouldn't think, train, like, someone from Wales, like, so, like, the most random country ever. But yeah, I think I got lucky in that I've always had good training, considering that I wasn't someone that was like, rich with jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I still managed to find the people who really worked hard to self-teach and learn themselves. And
Right.
but yeah, and also I think coming from from smaller gyms, it really, like, I only train at a larger gym now in the US.
Mm-hmm.
In the last like 2 years since I've moved here.
Yeah.
Before that was at, like, smaller gyms or not really known gyms, and it really does motivate you to focus in on your training and actually
Right.
focus in on the technique, and you have to be more what's the word, like, when you go training you have to be deliberate.
Yeah.
That's probably not the
No,
best
that's
word. More
right.
deliberate in your training and what you're actually there to do, because I think sometimes you can go to a big gym.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're gonna get fantastic training, but you
Yeah.
could go to a big gym and coast. You're like,
Yes.
I'm in the room with these people and they're just gonna make me good, and that is just not how
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah.
Like, you don't
doesn't
get
rub
good,
off
but
on you. Yeah.
I mean, literally, you could rub
Yeah.
on. To
Yeah.
them. You're
Like,
like, please, give me some power. If that was the case.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't
mean-
just be in a room with good
yeah,
people.
you think, oh, I'll just be good because I'm in this room with these people, but they're probably, either they're incredibly, not to disregard the work that they've done, but some people are just phenomenally talented,
Yeah.
just anomalies,
Yeah.
who've trained since they were like 3 years old,
Right.
or they are very deliberate in their training, or they're the combination, and then you see like this craziness that like Mika or like
Right.
or like Tainan or something during, like, that's what that just like becomes insane. But yeah, I think just being focused on your training and having to make it work,
Yeah.
having to be like, I don't have the best partners, but I value this person in front of me and I can make this work, and I can,
Right.
yeah, I think that helped a lot. I don't know if it's the reason. I also,
Yeah.
the judo background was a fantastic base. That helped too. So lots of little things coming
Yeah.
together.
No,
Yeah.
that's actually really good advice, because I think it is easy, like you just said. It's easy to kind of have the mindset of like birds of a feather kind of thing. Like, oh, if I'm in a
Yeah.
room with amazing people, then I'm amazing. And yeah, that is definitely helpful. But like you said, you have to be deliberate. You have to kind of go in with like a game plan. You can't just be in the room and hope for the best.
I think another thing, like, that helps, and like, I'm not saying that I'm always the best of this, but it's something I try and I think was very much drilled out of me in judo, and it was always like, take responsibility when you lose or
Yeah.
when you fuck up. Like, that's your response. Like, there's no, I never like, oh, I was sick.
Yeah.
Or like, everyone has shit going on, and the
Yeah.
person, like, maybe I was sick or whatever it was, but the other person may have been as well. They're just choosing
Right,
not
you
to
don't
say. They could
know.
have so much going on, you don't know. And like, you can keep a mental note of like, yeah, I was sick, so I can't be too hard on
Yeah.
myself, but I don't need to
Make
make it the
excuses.
whole reason. I can acknowledge that it didn't help, but it's like there were probably lots. I didn't have I want to be able to win things, no matter what happens. Like I get sick that day, I'm still the best. I'm still good enough that doesn't matter. That would be the goal for me always. Like I'll try and keep it as high a standard as possible. I think that helps a little bit as well.
Yeah. Are you the type of person that when you do lose, do you immediately watch your match and try to figure out where it went south, or not really?
Like I'll watch it right after it happens, and then because I'm already upset anyway, I may as well torture myself more.
You're like, forget it.
And then I'm like, okay, I know what the mistake is, and I don't need to go and watch it again. Again, I saw the mistake. Let's go address it in the gym.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I don't torture myself with it, but I will. You kind of have to. You have to separate. It's hard. It's not easy.
It is. Yeah.
But just try and separate. Like it's like that happened, and that's actually something that's been happening a lot in training.
Yeah.
That should have been addressed, and that's okay, and we can address it now.
Yeah.
And the embarrassment makes you address
yeah, it feels like the end of the world, but do you generally like kind of bounce back? Like you don't let yourself sulk for like too long. You're kind of like, all right, let's get back on and
I love an underdog arc. So I'm always like, I've lost, and it's like the comeback.
Right.
Like all the best things that have happened, and like I know everyone says this, but like every big win I've had came off the back of a loss. Like when I won Gi Worlds, I'd lost at Pans in the final. And I was like really devastated about it, but it really motivated me for that Gi camp, like for the Gi Worlds camp, sorry. And it's like, maybe I wouldn't have had that same focus, or maybe I would have subconsciously, because I don't think I would have done this consciously, but I might have subconsciously sort of, hey, it's okay, we just keep this up. Whereas I was like, no, I have to win this.
Yes.
Or like for ADCC, like same sort of thing where, I had a lot of like things going on at the time and like shit, and it does help. Yeah. So anytime I've had like a losing streak, not a losing streak, but you know what I mean, like a rough time, it always does actually. It always works out. Yeah. It just sometimes it takes a long time, but eventually you see the reasoning and you're like, oh, it's okay. I think that's why people are like religious and stuff. It helps. Like, it's God's plan, and I'm like, well, just my plan. Yeah, you're like, it's just you're like faith. Yeah, I'm more like faith.
Instead of like, but it's good to have something to just kind of keep yourself focused, that you're not like dwelling over and over again. Because sometimes when you lose, it does feel like the end of the world. So.
Yeah.
Speaking to my own experience.
You go talk to your parents, and you're like, they're just like, I don't know, you're just rolling around on the ground. It's a bit fucking weird, actually. And you're like, oh. And then my dad was like, I thought you were losing it the whole time because you were on your back. Because he used to grow up with me doing judo. So he's just there, like, humble yourself. I would win, like, worlds. And then I talk to my parents, and they're like, proud of you. When are you home next? And you're like, are you not crying? They're just like, I don't know. I'm glad you made a career out of this.
It's so funny.
You can afford rent, I'm happy.
It's so funny. Yeah, my like very first competition, you can like hear my parents in the video, and you can hear them being like, is that good? Is she doing good? Is that bad? And it's like, I'm literally like rear naked choking someone, like, is she winning? Like, oh my God, forget about it. Which is funny, because I guess in my mind, not knowing you too well, like I just assumed your parents were like super into it, but it's like literally,
I mean, they are.
It's
they're
not
really
generational.
Supportive. Yeah. No, like they're really supportive.
Yeah.
And now my mother trains. She's like, how do I get out of Mount?
Yeah, now that she trains.
And I'm like, book a private.
You're sending her your list.
Yeah, my invoice.
That's so funny.
No, but like, yeah, they're really supportive, but they're just like, if I lose, they're like, okay, so
like, we still love you.
Just do another tournament.
That's so funny.
And
but
like,
it's probably good though. It's probably good to have that like kind of nonchalant, that they're not like
it is, and it's good if you can keep some. People who do jiu-jitsu as a hobby, or like, I mean, you should have people who are friends, at least friends who do it as a hobby, but also some outside of jiu-jitsu friends. That helps a lot, because you're just like, they don't care, and they don't think you're fucking cool.
Right, yeah, it's
but
true.
Like, it really helps. Like, don't take bad comments to heart from people you don't know, but also don't take the good comments to heart too much either. Don't think you're the dog's bollocks, because you just go have a fucking few pints with your mates, and then you're gonna be like, oh.
You're like, yeah, I'm actually just
instantly humbled, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, they're friends that don't know jiu-jitsu. You're just a regular person.
They're just like, you're not cool. It's actually a bit weird what you do.
Like, it's actually kind of strange that you choke people out for a living, but
we tolerate you.
Yeah, so. That's awesome. Well, that was all my questions. Nothing else? Anybody? Go ahead.
Just repeat it into the microphone for the audio's sake after I say it. But
Okay.
I'll never get into it.
Okay.
All right. It's like adding another weight division for women or expanding the bracket to 32.
In ADCC?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to repeat this. I'm gonna forget. This is from Kelly. So you're asking what would progress women's jiu-jitsu more? Adding another weight class in ADCC on what end? Like above
I mean, you can't go
less
any
than
lower, can you? Well, you can
less than
actually.
66, I meant. Like it would be
Or in the middle. I don't know,
yeah.
like whatever.
Or what?
Space them out differently.
It's expanding the weight divisions or expanding the bracket size.
Okay. Or expanding the bracket size. We're not going to be able to hear any of this. I'm going to be like, what was the question? Okay. You got it, though. Go ahead.
Okay. I mean, I would say adding an additional weight division would
Yeah.
be my go-to. Maybe if I think about it deeper than 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's what my
I
vote
don't.
would
I
be.
just have so much impulse. I have no impulse control, as you've seen.
Love it.
But I would say addressing the higher weight because
Yeah.
although there's 65, so there's an additional division, it's still very low. That's
Yeah.
still very light. Yeah. And I always thought the issue was the higher weight bracket with the big weight disparity. It's not pleasant for anyone. It's not pleasant for the bigger girls going with the smaller girls,
yeah.
and then everyone is horrific to the people who are bigger, and it's not fair on the smaller girls with the bigger girls because they're outweighed by so much,
I
you know.
agree.
So it's not pleasant or fair, and you know how fucking social media reacts to bigger women. Oh my god.
Yep.
And so I feel like addressing that a bit more would have been my personal choice if I had. Well, I don't run a tournament, so
Yeah.
what can I say?
You might soon. Just kidding.
Well, actually, talk to a few people about a few things. And
There we go. We're getting all the
because
tea.
you know, I one of the critiques was like, well, just run your own show. I had of people, which
You're like, okay.
if you want things done your way, sometimes you have to do it yourself, and that's
Yeah.
not to say that I think it's definitely a very difficult task.
Yeah.
But it's true. It is also true as a fair criticism where it's like, well, what? Maybe just don't moan about it. Maybe do something about it.
Yeah.
So hopefully, can maybe do something about
Yeah, absolutely. And not that you were asking my opinion, but I agree.
it. Yeah.
And I do agree with you. It sucks for both people. Like I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And I'm not always for what is it? Plus 65 kilograms, I think. I'm not always like I'm talking about my very recent viral video. I was a smaller person, but that's not always the case. I have gone against girls smaller than me in that bracket. Like
Yeah.
it just sucks all around for
Yeah.
honestly everybody. And that's why people do think it's the absolute because it looks like an absolute.
Yeah.
So I think we need to work on getting a couple more. But where I will give them credit, ADCC, is that as far as the last Vegas ADCC Open / trials, even if they had another bracket, there was nobody else signed up. Like, and maybe that it would have been different, but I can tell you that the girl I went against, like, if there was a higher weight class, like, it still would have been me and her. Like, there was nobody else for her.
I mean,
So-
again, it's that thing of like, I guess maybe if there was some like data they could have looked at and gone, okay, well, this is where, you know, that's what I was confused with. Because like, if you're above 5'5" and athletic, you're going to be heavier than 65 kilos. So it's kind of like that range would have been just nice to have been addressed. I mean, I'm really glad for the girls who are under 55.
Yeah.
Because obviously I remember Misa fighting like B Mosquito, for example.
Yeah.
And again, it's a situation where it's not pleasant for either of them, but like Misa's severely outweighed and she was doing so well, but
Yeah.
it's just how are you going to wrestle with someone so much bigger than you? It makes
Right.
such a huge difference.
does.
So I'm glad that division exists for sure. It's not I'm like eradicate that one. It's
Right.
like, I'm glad it's there.
Yeah.
But it would be just nice if you know, like why not two?
Yeah.
I mean, like other organizations have multiple weight divisions, and
Right.
especially when it's like limited to only 8 women.
Yep.
It's like I feel like it's very doable, and I would love to see that change. But I mean, again, I don't run a show, so what can I say?
But you never know what the future will hold. Anything else? Yeah.
Oh.
For Craig Jones. So the question was, why do we think other women didn't step up to go do CJI instead of ADCC?
I think they just didn't think it was an option.
Okay.
I don't know. I can't speak for anyone, but I would say probably didn't know it was an option because there's no women's division.
And it's never too late. You never know. And
Yeah, because we don't want to drop names.
Well, there's at least one other person. Your opponent will be at least one other woman that.
Because like we're having difficulty with the. I won't get into that.
Yeah.
Just, because obviously there's discussions happening
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it takes time. But like a few people did like, hey, like, is there a division? They were definitely interested
Yeah.
because I think the people who get hurt the most by it all is the women.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating. Poor us. But yeah, like the little violin. But yeah, I do think that I think they would have. I just don't think they thought it was an option. I was
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm just gonna ask.
Right.
Right. Be like, hey, we're not doing that. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
just ask. And then he was like, wait,
Right.
you do exist.
Yeah, it might have been different if he like announced a women's division and was like, apply here. Like,
Yeah.
you never know what we might have
I do
seen.
also think it could only be, but it works because I just want it. And so it's kind of like these other girls have more to lose. No, not more to lose, but I don't mean it in that way because there's lots of other champions who are doing it.
It can make more of a difference if they won, right? Than like you winning a second time. Do you think?
I think I was just kind of like, it's worth it to me, and maybe it wasn't worth. But I just think they just didn't know it was an option. Honestly, to be honest, I think people would have, but they just didn't.
It's basically Ffion has balls, is what we're trying to say. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I don't. All those ladies have got big balls.
Oh, I'm sure.
Not literally, but
figuratively.
they do.
Figuratively.
I think they do, and I think
Yeah, they just didn't think that
in
it was
the
an option.
future, hey,
You
if
never
I
know.
do have a show,
I think you also
Come
are
on
in a
it.
unique position to have opened that door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're the person. Like now that you did it, I think
Like you already won.
Yeah.
yeah. I also like. There's no guarantee this will work or go well at
Oh
all.
yeah.
Like this may go horribly
Oh
wrong.
yeah.
I really hope it doesn't. I don't think it will. This could
Yeah,
be- You throw this back in my face.
No bad
I don't think it
omens.
will, but I think it can go
Yeah,
horribly
you just
wrong.
don't
And I am an agent of chaos, and so
know. Yes, we're
like,
learning that.
I just blow my life up. So
Yeah, well, I mean, I think trying something new that's like at that magnitude is always going to be a struggle, right? Like,
yeah, we'll see.
it's
how
not
it
going to be
goes.
flawless, but I think it's going to be all right.
Yeah,
For your sake, I hope it works out really
same.
well. Hey, as long as you get
Back
paid,
to the key.
as long as you get paid, I'd be like, oh, whatever, it is what it is.
Goes to the gym fund,
Yeah,
at
right.
least.
Or one last question.
Okay. Who is it? You?
What made you do this podcast?
Oh, wow.
Oh, you're just great.
What made you do this
laugh,
podcast?
like, easy to talk to. Clearly easy to talk to, but too easy to talk to. And yeah, I think it's simple as that. Like I again, just ask.
I appreciate it.
Just
ask,
I'll do
guys.
it. I love
That's what this episode's gonna be
rambling,
called.
As you can tell, if you listen to this, you're just like, oh, she fucking can't stop talking. So
Oh, I mean, I appreciate you. Like, you are amazing. No, it's been awesome. For those of you who don't know, she just finished a whole seminar and then came next door to do a whole podcast. So, I mean, your jujitsu's high quality. You're a high quality person. I'm trying to make you cry, all right? I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, I'm so grateful for you to even come and do this. It means the world. I will make sure I don't cut this up and make you look bad.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, don't worry.